a money is added down to the bottom, so it looks like it's an extra one.
It should have been in the line up above in the original grant, but if you go back to the original grant, it was separated as well, and it was just because it was added on later.
Okay, but 7 times 25 is 175. So are we adding an extra one?
Oh, I see what you're saying now. Okay.
And when I look at this sheet, it looks like we have 8 already hired.
So the middle.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay.
And the
So
only one that I don't see, like I see a title, the Title IV, I don't see a Title II, but I'm confused of how we would hire them when we have them here as to approve.
So the middle school will have 2. The high school will have 1.
Yep.
Rockwell will have 1. Gutierrez will have 1, and Colt will have 1.
I guess I'm trying to tie out.
So that would be 10 altogether. You're correct.
Yeah, so on this sheet that we received of the position, there's 8 already hired. So did we hire them prior to not getting approval? I'm just confused, like, are we hiring 3 additional on top of the 8 that is here? So that'd be 11?
Or do the 8 include the Title II or Title IV?
Title IV is definitely here. I don't see Title II, so I'm including all of them. I just can't tie it out of if we are hiring more than these 8, and it seems like this document and this document don't. Or sorry,
No, that's okay. I mean, we did just finally get one appointed last week, so I don't know if that's the discrepancy. But
I don't know. Like Title I, Title II is definitely not in this file, like in this position. And then it looks like another fellow we would hire to equal 10, but this is saying an additional 3.
So on that particular line, I agree that the one from the KMS is down below, but on that particular line, previously, we had 4 budgeted.
Yeah.
And through the amendment, we would like to add 3 more.
I understand that. I think,
Let's see.
yeah. It looks like there's an extra one on the SR2 proposal. And in the position control, the position one, it looks like we've hired 8 already. So if there's,
I
sorry.
don't know, I would have to go back through and look at this sheet to see the timeline, but we've been very careful, and I know that we are ready to do a posting tomorrow for the additional 3. So I'm
But
not
then-
sure what you're seeing, where you're seeing that on here.
So that's a problem.
Yeah, so the additional 3 would give us 11.
Clarification on the district, what do you call this?
The position.
The position control.
It doesn't say anything.
District Elementary Teacher and Learning Fellows. It has the number 2. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the 7th line down. It has 2 fellows in parentheses, but it has 3 names in the field. So is it 2 positions or is it 3 positions?
I can address that. So one of the positions is a .4 and one is a .6 to equal
Okay.
1 FTE. And then the third name that you see there is a 1.0 FTE.
So that means there's 7.
There's 7, 8, 9, 10.
All right. And how about the Title II fellow?
There is a Title II one that I believe that's the one that was just hired. Is that correct?
So that is not on this staff list.
And I think that would be.
No, this one you might say, but if it's the elementary one, if it's Ashley,
Okay.
that might be the Title II. two more.
Ashley.
3962549.
Okay,
Two. All right. So. Let's
25 here.
3,
Seven.
7,
There's 7 total.
6, 7.
So we would just edit that line at the bottom where it says KMS Fellows. So you would take that out, that 25,000 out?
No, because we still need 2 for the middle school.
Right, but I thought you said it was above, it was up above. It
There's
was
n-
included in the 7.
There's 1 up above in that line for the middle school, and then the 1 down below.
Okay, so total that you're gonna get at the end of this would be 10.
Correct.
Okay.
Question.
But we're
Yeah,
missing.
one up. Yeah,
Okay. I have one question.
I have something else. Can I say something first?
Yeah, I just have a question about the benefits.
Okay.
Is that-
I sat at budget the other night and I listened to us talk about, so this is how I feel, and I really didn't get a chance to say it because I'm not a voting member of that group. But we talked about the ESSER 2 funds, and we talked about hiring all these extra people that we needed. And then we went to special ed. And we talked about special ed, and we talked about the fact that special ed needed $300,000 to get themselves up to speed. And I went home and I thought about that for a while, and I decided for my own self that special ed was more important. And then if we were going to spend money, we could spend it out of ESSER. And the reason we could spend it out of ESSER is because the children who have special needs were behind in their learning as much as the children who don't. And we need to recapture their learning skills and their abilities just as much as we need to capture all of the other children. So tonight, the only way you're going to get me to agree to this is if we take 300,000 from ESSER and we move it to special ed. Because for me, that seems much more important than 3 more fellows. We can always move curriculum teaching time if we don't have coverage. We've been managing with coverage so far. You're out of order too. 3 long-term subs is the same cost as making special ed whole. So I'm not saying that you cut them, I'm just saying that I will not vote for this until you find a way to find the $300,000 that Brenna needs for special ed, because we've short-shifted her big time in what we finally decided to give her, which wasn't anywhere near what she asked for. So I would really like for everyone to kind of think about that when you're thinking about adding substitute teachers and lunch aides and some of the other things that we need to add, that we are not working on the needs of our special ed students. And so tonight, my recommendation will be, and I'll probably amend the motion, that we divert 300,000 to special ed. That's what I wanted to say. And you can think about it, and you don't have to agree with me.
I
but-
just
Could
have
I-
a question. Aren't the teaching fellows 25,000 each? So
No,
3 of them
they're
would be.
they're $125
You
a
You
day.
gotta look at the benefits line. The second page has benefits.
And then, because we have said repeatedly that, because yeah, I would love to give 300,000 to special ed, but we've said repeatedly that ESSER should only be 1 year rather than paying for staff that we need moving forward, right?
Correct, but we need ramp up. That's also what ESSER is for. And we have hired coaches and interventionists for children in the regular classroom, but we haven't hired people for special ed.
But you were saying to put $300,000 worth in ESSER that we would then need in next year's
We would
budget.
need to cut some of these things.
Can
I
I
know, but I'm
just,
saying
can I
next year we need
interject
it.
for a moment, please? I don't mean to interrupt, but the interventionists are for all students. and the coaches are for all students. So we don't separate them when we provide intervention. So any student who has an IEP will also get math and reading support through the interventionist. Also, yesterday, we received notification that there's an additional $200,000 coming from IDEA from the American Relief Plan. So that will be the 200, I believe it's over $200,000, but that will be coming in to support some of the needs that you're talking about.
Well, I just know that right now we have money here and it ought to be going to special ed before it goes anyplace else. And that's how I'm going to vote tonight. And you all can think about it and do whatever you want, but we keep pushing that can down the road. We push it down the road at the budget meeting and I don't want to push it down the road anymore. So that's my thing. And maybe after she gets everything back in order, we won't necessarily need all those people again. But she's not going to know that until she has the opportunity to get it back in order. And we haven't given it to her. So Vic wanted to say something and then Tara wanted to say something. And then Sheila. Vic?
Could you identify for me or define what a fellow is, please?
Teaching fellow is a permanent substitute that we hire for the year. And they are able to be within our schools, know our programs, know our teachers, know our students, know the behavioral routines within schools. And then in many cases, they are participating in professional development with our teachers. When we do have an opening, there's an opportunity that we could hire them after having seen what they're able to do.
So they're not like a fellow in the medical field, then, is that correct?
No, they're not, no.
And I think we ought to use the term that we should be using, and that's a long-term sub.
We could certainly do
I
that.
think we should eliminate that. The other thing is, I'm going to go along with Marge on that. We have just now tonight taken care of Tony and his need in his department. I think that we should also think about doing the same thing in the special ed department. And as we know, we've had several people come and go in that department. We've had so many problems, and I know that the person who is in that position right now is probably working all kind of hours, just like Tony was working. And hopefully he won't have to work so many hours now because he has some help. And I don't want to lose the person in that position right now who might get frustrated, because I would be frustrated if I had to do what that person is doing right now, any amount of time put into it. So I would like to look into at least getting some help there. I was listening to Marge, and I'm not talking about teaching areas, but I'm talking about support in that department. Thank you.
We also have the $4 million in the ESSER 3 grant that will be budgeted, that we're budgeting for now. So there's an opportunity for some of the special ed costs to go there.
I'd appreciate that.
I just can't in good conscience vote for what's coming down the pike when I know what we have right now and I know what her needs are right now. And she made them very clear in her paperwork. And I know we could probably go down to 2 facilitators, but I understood from talking to Dr. Mara what her needs were and what you wanted to do. And it made very good 21st century sense. And it's different than the way we've been doing. And I just think it's something that we really need to look at. Tara?
So I have 2 questions. When is the IDEA money going to become available, the additional funds?
We don't have a timeline on the funds, but RIDE is just sending out the amounts that each district will receive.
So it's an estimate, 200,000?
It's over $200,000, and then there's also $13,000 for IDEA preschool.
Okay. And then my second question, and I asked this at the budget subcommittee meeting, and I don't know if you've been able to put the information together. It's about the budget, the benefits for the fellows. So I see here that you have benefits for 8 of the fellows. Am I correct?
I believe so, that's what it says.
So not all 10 will have benefits? Oh, so right, so 2 of them, all right, so 1 of them will not have benefits because the other 2 are under Title II and Title IV. So
Correct.
one does not have benefits, but everyone else does?
Is that the .4?
They may have
Is it the
declined.
.4?
I don't know.
Yes, one's a .4 and one's a .6.
So out of information that I've received, one of the fellows was not offered benefits. So I'm curious if they're getting benefits. And if that's money that we can use to put into special education.
Okay.
So all of the fellows were offered benefits. A lot of them, some of them declined. They did not want, they didn't need medical or dental. What they're not receiving, which is another conversation, is they're with us for a year. But what was not identified is they have no paid time off. So if they're sick, there are no days available for them, even though we don't replace them with someone else. So as far as benefits goes, they were all offered the insurance, which is what they were offered last year.
So can we find out how many did not take it?
I can do that.
Is there money there that we can save to put towards special education?
I will give you that tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yes.
Dr. Mara and Dr. Santa, so we have on the agenda to increase the sub rate. Prior to adding these 3 fellows, if we approve the sub rate, can we try that kind of route before we hire with benefits to the tune of $280,000? The 3 extra people or 4 extra people, how many? Can we try the sub rate increase if it gets approved and wait for ESSER 3 and add in the other ones to ESSER 3 so we can get immediate help to the special ed department and help those students?
I don't know if anyone else wants to jump in, but, certainly there are a lot of options. The benefit of the teaching fellows that you have someone there every day when you're dependent on day-to-day subs that don't often take the call, and now everyone's scrambling, and that's when we're having to pull teachers from all different classes. So we can hope that they will be there, but there's not a guarantee like there is with the teaching fellow when we know. And already this week, and the principals are here if you would like to share your story, but every single day we are scrambling to provide coverage in our classrooms. And so waiting for a rate increase and then hoping
Well, the
that
rate
some will
increases
apply.
The rate increases right now, like it's on the agenda today. So if we
Correct.
can try that till ESSER 3 comes in, push this 3 to ESSER 3 to provide we need to give our special ed students the support they need. And I feel that if we can kind of try the rate increase, push it to ESSER 3, and provide the special ed department the staff to get them up and running, and help obviously our most volatile students.
Well, as I said, we have $4 million that we'll be able to start budgeting for special education and many other things, the intervention programs, after-school programs. But right now, our priority is the day-to-day substitute coverage. And we've been having to pull people. We've been having to pay 1/7 of a period. So the cost is astronomical. It's $75 per period that we're paying. So we don't want to continue doing that. The idea of day-to-day subs might work, but it's not as effective as having the same person in there day after day who knows the routines.
Right, I mean, I think we're caught between special ed that we really need to help these students do. So, I mean, I don't think it's like I'm just trying to figure out a way to support special ed, get them the resources they need, and then maybe use the rate increase to get us to until we get the ESSER 3 funding in and put those next 3 on. Because when's the ESSER 3 coming in? Do we know?
We have the funding allocation.
So it's soon.
Yes.
Okay, so if we help special ed because they have an immediate need.
Well, the problem is we would need to rewrite the ESSER 2 grant and send it back to RIDE for approval. So the timeline is about the same.
Okay, thanks.
Our educators are here telling us that they need help. Our teachers are burnt. We're spending money, it sounds like, covering that 0.7%. It sounds like this need is immediate, and I never, ever want to take money away from special ed, but I'm seeing head nods. So I think I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm feeling like you're asking us for something, and I feel like we're hearing it from Dr. Santa, and I would like to give it to you. Because that sounds like this is an immediate need, and I feel like we've put our teachers and our administrators under so much pressure over these last couple of years. And you should have your planning period. You should have a lunch break. You should be able to visit the restroom when you need to. And I think having these substitutes will help at least let you have a basic sort of ability to run your classrooms in a semi-normal fashion.
Wait a second, I just want to say something really quick. In all fairness to Brenna and everybody else at this table, I didn't talk to anybody about this. So you've all been blindsided. I just thought about it over the weekend. So everybody can sort of breathe and relax, because that was just something that I posed. I didn't speak to Brenna, I didn't speak to Ed, I didn't speak to Diane or Tony. I just had it in my head. So I just want you all to know that. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I don't have any objection to looking at all of the different options between ESSER 2, ESSER 3, between the needs for teacher fellows or long-term subs, and the desperate need in our special ed department. I'm just not clear on I can't get my head around the math, because the sub increase is like 250,000, I think. I know that's coming up. And the special ed need is 300,000.
It could be 200. It could be 200.
Or 200. So I can't I'm oversimplifying the math as, like back of a napkin math, but it feels like if we increase the cost of subs, we're not going to be magically $300,000 richer, because that money has to go to the subs, right? Am I missing something?
No.
Can I say something, one step, Mrs. Sinai, do you know what a sub makes?
No,
You can't
no,
talk.
Amy, you can't talk.
Can't talk.
I'm looking at the big math, and I would look to Mrs. Ellsworth, because if do you see my question, Sheila?
No, sorry.
If the sub increase number, it's something like 260,000.
That's the worst case scenario, yeah.
Right. So I don't see how, because I want to do all the things just like everybody does.
Right. I'm just saying if we can patch, because Brenna, obviously, I don't know if everybody has the document that Brenna presented at the budget facilities. It's like such a thorough
It was in
plan,
the packet, yeah.
and it's a great document. My concern is that special ed right now, she's telling us, just like the teachers are telling us, that we need to help her, we need to help them.
No, let me
like-
finish. My question was pure, I agree with all of that.
Right.
I absolutely agree. Everybody needs all the things,
Right.
and we want to give them.
Right.
Mine was purely, I'm trying to visualize moving these pots of money around. And if we take it from fellows and move it to increase it in subs, you're looking at a 250, maybe up to a $250,000 increase. But so I don't see where we then gain 300 to give to special ed.
Well, I'm not saying long-term. I'm saying until we get ESSER 3 in, if we can try the higher sub rate, see if we get anybody in, until we get ESSER 3 to help out special ed right away using the ESSER 2 money.
And because my concern, because I have listened, is using grant money to pay for employees that we need forever.
Well, the thing is, it's her, I mean, she can speak. I don't know, when she does her presentation, I guess she can.
No, she's not doing it.
But she's
Oh,
not,
she's
but Brenna's
not.
not, but Brenna's not going to talk about the ESSER. Like, I've just listened to you say, and I agree that it's so dangerous
but-
to use grant money for.
But it
full-time
falls within during COVID, a lot of these IEPs didn't get signed, didn't get processed correctly. So she's telling us that they're in non-compliance. That was what we said.
Yeah, I think it would fall under the grant
It would
agreement.
fall under the grant
Yeah,
for
yeah.
this year.
I'm just
That's why I'm
worried about
saying
budgeting for it for next year.
Yeah, we're
That's
gonna
all.
have to make cuts so we can help our most vulnerable
I feel like you're
students.
missing, it's fine. I feel like you're missing the.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're saying.
So, can I ask a question?
No.
I can?
Oh.
Thought I could.
Sarah, I owe you an apology. You're gonna ask all the questions.
Thank you. I thought I heard Dr. Santa say that if we did plug the hole with increasing the subrate, excuse me, increasing the subrate and then moving the ESSER 2 funds to the special ed department, that couldn't be done right away anyway, because the whole thing would have to be rewritten and go back for approval and then come back. So we're not gaining anything, right? Because we can't advertise or hire until we have that money earmarked.
Correct.
But we've already done that.
No, to change it.
Well,
So
what I'm saying is the fellows are already working, so we're already using.
So this, for the additional 3, they have not been posted yet. So once you approve this, we need to go back into the RIDE grant application and make these changes and request that change. The teaching and learning fellows are an approved activity. We're just adding to the line.
So they're already approved.
If we write a new activity such as special education, that needs to go through a whole cycle of review because it's a different activity.
So what kind of timeline are we looking at if we use the money that's projected to come in from the IDEA and the ESSER 3, and what ballpark timeline before we could have people in positions to do what's desperately needed, which we all agree it's desperately needed.
So the IDEA funds that are coming in, again, because they're federal relief funds, will allow us to go back in time and capture any costs that qualify under that grant. And the guidance that we do have on the IDEA ARP funds is that it's any allowable IDEA activity, so that is a better place to put special education programs.
So you're saying we could do that now, and then when the money comes in, go back and pay for it? Is that what you're saying?
According to RIDE, although I know that there's always hesitation to spend the money
Sorry.
before we have it.
I didn't catch that, sorry.
So according to RIDE, however, we are always very careful to not spend the money before we have it approved.
Okay.
Anybody else?
So if we put the money for the special ed department in ESSER 2 through the amendment or in ESSER 3 straight up, we'll get the money around the same time.
Or through the IDEA funds,
So we'll get the money at the same time, whichever method we use.
correct.
What time is that?
Well, it really depends on RIDE's timeline, because by the time we, recalculate all of the budget sheets and the narrative to make this update, then it needs to be submitted to RIDE, and then it's on their timeline for review. So sometimes it's several weeks.
That's what I was looking for, several weeks,
So-
not several months. Right. Yes, Aaron.
Thank you. So I just want to clarify, it sounds like everyone here is on the same page, and I'm just making sure that I have this right. You all in district admin seem to be on the same page as all of us. And this is what you've presented, knowing that we have these other funds coming in and knowing what we all agree on we need to prioritize them for, right? Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
I have one, so going back, I know, oh, go ahead.
This is your last bite at the apple.
Oh, no,
I
Karen
just
wants
had
to
a
talk.
question
Oh,
as
Karen had another
to,
Sorry, I interrupted.
no, I just had a question as to why the special ed support was not included in the ESSER 2 funds.
The proposal that was put forward for special education, those are permanent positions, and we're not using ESSER funds for any positions that are more than 1 year only. So that's why it wasn't included in here.
Thank you.
So so, sorry, because again, it's a numbers game, and we're just trying to make everything fit in a puzzle. And we talked about the benefits. We know that there are some fellows not getting benefits. We know that we may not be able to fund everything in the special education package, but we may be able to fund some of it. So Brenna broke everything down specific, with a 0.5 special education teacher, which we need for our school at 60,000. So I'm wondering if we can't at least manipulate the numbers so that we can at least fit some of the puzzle pieces, if not all.
Right, we would need to go back and review that, and again, the majority of the grant is approved. These are the
Right.
amendments that we're looking at now, and the timeline would be the same as if we put it into ESSER 3.
So just out of curiosity, what happens to that money if it's not used anyway? So if those benefits are not used, what happens to that money?
Well, my
That has to
assumption
go
is
back in?
there will be another amendment for ESSER 2, so that we have the funds for several years. So if we, at the end of the day, when we look at our actuals and realize what the difference in cost is, we have an opportunity to go back and amend again, so that 15,000 for benefits for the teaching fellow, that won't go away. We'll just be able to reapply for that for a different expense.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
can I remind everybody that at the budget subcommittee last week, you did agree to the half teacher, and you did agree to the child outreach.
Yeah.
So you did agree to 2 positions.
Ideas.
The other
The
positions
idea.
are the early childhood coordinator increase, and then the 3, basically about 330,000, that's in addition to what you already approved. Do we know for sure that do you know for sure when special ed grant is coming in and how much we're gonna get?
We know the amount, but we don't know the timeline yet.
And what's the amount?
I would have to pull it up.
200
I
and
know,
change.
Tony, do you?
Off the top of my head, I concur with Dr. Sienna that it's about $215,000. I think it was 204 for IDEA, ARA, and about 11,000 for the preschool ARA. Because I asked the question, I had not heard ARA, so it was brand new, but RIDE did send out a confirmation of each district's allocation, so we did receive that hard copy.
So can all that money be used for the programs and the people that Brenner is looking for?
I believe because it's falling under IDA and preschool IDA, it'll fall under those same caveats that the IDA grants are already benchmarked at. So I'm trying to fathom, because we've answered the question, that the timing is going to be relatively the same, whether it's ESSA 2, ESSA 3, and this IDA, because we just got the announcement, it might be about a 5-week, a 6-week window. And I also concur that if we have to start rewriting an amendment that's already been approved, it's going to go under a longer timeline for reapproval. So to the question about what's going to happen with the benefits, I think you're going to be looking at, out of the $15,000 benefit, it might be $8,000 or $9,000 that you save, because the other piece of the taxes that we pay on it is going to get paid. So you're only looking maybe at $8,000 or $12,000. We have categories such as safe and healthy schools, and we have supplies, items that have already been approved. I think it'll be a quick approval for us to make those decisions in January and February. I think the administration and the school committee are on a lockstep. I've heard it once, that we need these supports in special ed. So either it is going to be the ARA and or ESSA 3, and it's about the same timeline. I would ask that, since we're going in that direction, would the school committee approve at least the authorization to post contingent upon funding, so we can start the process to find the body, rather than waiting a month to say, okay, now that we got the award, let's put it out there. Now it's Thanksgiving, Christmas, to at least get the identification of who we should be recruiting for, because I think the positions that were being proposed are going to be critical, and it's going to impact our community, because we're going to have a teacher step up and take over that slot, or to go outside. It's still going to take us a month to organize. So give us some opportunity to organize and then run concurrent with the scheduling of the funding coming in tail end of November. That
Tony-
would be my recommendation.
Tony, should we do it, but,
With what you suggested at the meeting the other night, with the IDEA and ESSA, is if you make a motion to use IDEA and ESSA 3 to approve anything that you don't approve tonight for her, and then, for the department, not for her, and then to, go along with what Mr. Grucci said, give the authorization to post now, pending getting the funds, you're gonna almost get her everything she's looking for.
all right, but that's in two separate sections, so that's why I was turning to you. One section is the ESER 2 amendments, that's E, but G is student support. So
I
we
could
need to
just-
vote on one and then move to the other.
I'm sorry, I was just going to add that the IDEA ARP funds, the preliminary allocation is $204,862, and the IDEA preschool is $20,282.
Well, honestly, I was going to make a motion for G to include 2 facilitators, not 3. So that takes us, it gives her breathing space.
Am I able to speak to that?
Of course you are. Since I'm,
That's the next item.
Do you want me just to wait till my mind comes up? I mean, I know that we're, so the reason why I had proposed 3 versus 2 is to ensure that the support could be consistent and thorough. Because where we're at right now is we had spoken about, is I'm really looking for us to facilitate RIDE compliance, best practices, educator growth, and ensuring that students are in the least restrictive educational setting. So I'm really looking to have those 5 positions with those 2
Okay.
reorganized. And my concern is that I really have it scaled way back, because I know we also spoke about the idea that if I was able to have these team meetings facilitated properly, that it would also allow for additional support and modeling within the schools, because right now I'm just sitting between 30 and 40 meetings a week, so I'm not able to provide additional level support to any of our schools, our students, our families, or even our staff. And so I don't know if you want me to run through exactly what would be done.
no, what you're saying to me though is that I shouldn't say 2, I should say 3.
Yes, please.
Okay.
And again,
I hear
just to stress, this would be permanent staff, not temporary. Unfortunately, it wouldn't be for just the year. I would need these on an ongoing basis to facilitate these meetings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion first on the floor to approve the ESER 2 amendment. Yes?
That's the motion that's on the floor.
Yes. All right, so we should vote on that. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I'm not voting. All right, I'm going to skip over F and go to G because we've been talking about this. Approve the plan for additional special support services with immediate implementation. I need a motion to find a way to get, I don't know how to word this, find a way for Brennan to get what she needs.
Right, so you're going to make a motion, first of all, to immediately approve what the budget subcommittee did the other night. You're going to immediately approve the .5 special education teacher and the child outreach screener. That's what you're immediately approving.
May I just speak to the .5 special educator, because it's just worded wrong here. It states it's special education coordinator. I'm looking for the teacher. when I was trying to explain it the other night and my phone was just not winning.
Yeah, no, it was not an easy, yeah.
So I'm sorry. I know that we spoke about the idea of this being a 0.5 at Rockwell. So what would happen is just to clarify, is that we would move that staff that's being split between Gutierrez and Rockwell to being a 1.0 at Rockwell, but then we would still have that 0.5 needed to be filled at Gutierrez. I think that this would be an excellent opportunity for us to really post for a multi-language staff so that we could reflect the diversity of our students and really look to have a special educator who is multilingual. Because again, they are the multilingual school. I do know Hugh Cole also has students, but I just wanted to stress that that is my focus.
Okay.
Thank
The
you.
motion is to immediately find funding for a 0.5 special education teacher, wherever you put it,
Thank you.
and for the child outreach screener, that is on your proposal. That's immediate funding. But in addition, using IDEA and/or ESSER free funds to fund the remainder of her proposal, with the understanding that positions can be posted now and not filled until the money comes in.
That sounds good. Anybody want to make that?
So moved.
Second.
So moved.
Discussion?
No, you get a second?
Again,
I thought Aaron did.
my only concern is that these aren't one-year only positions,
No.
which is what we've heard repeatedly. And that's I
Yeah, you know,
will vote for it, absolutely.
You're
But that
right.
is my
No,
concern.
you're
We
right,
need to
you're
find
right,
cuts.
Vicki, and it makes me nervous. It makes me nervous too. I just
I'm
don't
gonna
know
vote
how to
for
get-
it,
How to
but-
get to this.
Yep.
And I'm hoping that if you notice on the sheets that they gave us, that they were going to be reassessing after 90 days. And I'm hoping that a lot of those can go away so that we actually have funds in hand. If you look to the far right, it will say reassess need after 90 days for nurse techs and all of the rest of those. I would like to see what that assessment is in 90 days, which would be after Thanksgiving, yes?
But we'd already have the ESSER grant application in for the money for special ed. Yeah, I'm going to vote for it. I'm just registering that concern that these are not one-year only.
Well, I
positions.
share it with you. I just, like I said, just had a weekend of reflection, and that's what I came up with without considering the ramifications of what I was asking for. So, sorry about that. I don't know how that happened. Yeah.
And one of the things that Brenna did tell us at one of her previous presentations is that with the evaluators, we are looking to be saving money for the next school year when she evaluates placements. So hopefully we will have a savings in that area that will cover these funds this year.
Certainly. No pressure. At the moment, we're currently working with the out-of-district consultant. They're really exceptional. I can say that unfortunately, we are still weeding through some issues that had been left over from last year. So there are certain situations that have come up where students have qualified for an out-of-district placement at this time. So we're still kind of reshuffling here to kind of figure out how it will in fact fall. The one thing I can say that will offset at least some of the cost in terms of supporting those additional staff is, and again, it will go before the budget subcommittee, but I have identified a grant that will work to provide additional training for any of those coordinators or LEA positions. So that will be a cost that we won't have to take on, and that'll be coming up.
All right, thank you. All right, is everybody ready?
Yes.
All in favor, oh, wait a minute. All in favor of the motion that Vic made and Aaron seconded it, and I seconded, Sarah seconded it? Okay.
You need to write that down, Mary Ann.
Oh, okay.
It's already done.
No.
No, I mean, I
Take
don't
the
know.
vote.
That's up to Mark.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I just want to take the opportunity to thank all of you for indulging me in my little whims of the weekend. I realize it threw a wrench into everything, and we're moving onward and upward.
Don't
Thank
do it
you again.
again.
I won't do it again until next time. All right, F, approve FCC Emergency Connectivity Fund Grant application.
So moved.
Second,
Discussion, we had a lot of discussion at the Budget Subcommittee. They forwarded it to us with their approval. Rose made it clear that she needed to go out now so that because it takes time. That doesn't necessarily mean we'll be spending any money, but we will be ready with the E-rate when it comes. Right, Rose? Anybody have any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The last thing on the agenda is to approve the substitute rate increase. I need a motion.
So moved.
I need
Second.
Discussion.
Could that be retroactive?
what did you say, Victor?
Could it be retroactive? I didn't make that kind of money.
I made $50 a day. What are you saying?
Oh, it's been needed. It definitely has been needed.
My only question is $250 for a nurse?
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Ask Karen.
Not casting aspersions on nurses, but we aren't, for a substitute, we're not necessarily looking for a nurse teacher, we're looking for a nurse, right?
No. Is it a nurse teacher or is it a nurse?
The nurses, I mean, I did a salary survey, and I just, I've been in the medical field, and to be quite honest, some of the other districts are paying 300 or more per day. Nurses are scarce.
But the ones who bring it in are just nurses and not nurse teachers, is that correct? I mean,
It's, a nurse teacher is a rarity.
Right.
There are not a lot there. And the report that I provided, included how many postings there are. I don't know if you all noticed that at the top. So what I put is how many postings who we're competing with. So if there's 64 postings, I think that's the one for the school nurse, that's what we have to compete with. And it is incredibly difficult.
yeah, my concern, Leanne, is we can bring in a nurse legally, and the state isn't going to say that we have to have a nurse.
Correct, only for day-to-day subbing. For a long term, we cannot. The person has to be a certified.
That's what I'm looking at, yeah.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
a day-to-day, we can bring any nurse in or whatever.
Yes. Well, they have to have a bachelor's.
You have to what?
They have to have a bachelor's.
Okay.
All right, anybody
There
else?
are
Yes, Laura.
RNs with
Karen, what?
associates and bachelors. I'm just saying there are RNs with associate's degrees, and then there are RNs with bachelor degrees.
But
And in the school, I do believe, like you said, they require the
Leanne's saying
bachelor's.
a bachelor's degree is coming.
Yeah.
So. Okay, great. All right, anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Now the magic word.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.